Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is your girl Jaden. How is everyone out there? Today guys, I want us to again continue our conversation on mental health. There are lots and lots of people out there who are struggling with one or two mental health conditions. Some of them do not know who to speak to. Some of them are too embarrassed to talk about it. This morning I was watching a video on YouTube, a lady called Dimma Ume. And watching her video this morning made me realize once again that we need to talk more about mental health. We need to empower one another. We need to support each other. In that video, Dimma shared an experience which she said happened around 2016. She didn't go into details, but you can infer from some of the things she said that she was really at a low place. And this is very common. This is what happens to every one of us out there. Every now and again, we all did, We're not in a great place. We're not in the best state of our mind. Today, I want us to talk about panic disorder. What is panic disorder? Who is at risk? What are the signs and symptoms? What do you want to see in someone around you or even yourself to warn you that you might be having panic disorder? So these are some of the conversations I want us to have today. I had an experience when, this was years back, when I lost my aunt. I talked about that in one of my videos. My plan is to make a video, more detailed video at some point where I will share my experience. But guys, that was one of, if not so far, the most difficult times of my life. This was a lady I was very close to. I think I already made mention of her, my relationship with her in some of my videos. I was with her when she was having her baby, and eventually she died as a result of complications from that childbirth. All of a sudden, I felt this intense fear. I felt this overwhelming sense of fear and pain and worry, and I just could not at the time understand what was going on with me. I had no clue what it was. But I knew I was in a very bad place. Anyway, eventually I pulled through from that experience. I was in the hospital. The information I received much later was that I had passed out, taken to the hospital. I was so devastated. I felt like my whole world was crashing. Now, in hindsight, looking back, it makes sense to me what I was going through, what was actually happening to me, what the psychological as well as the physical health changes I was undergoing. But at the time, I had no clue due to so many reasons. And this is why now I feel so blessed that I have this platform. I have a little bit of understanding. I have more insight about mental health. I can now share with you. I can now talk to people about mental health. Like I said in my last video, this is what I do now currently, and I feel blessed. I feel honored, but I think we do not share as much as we can. There needs to be more conversation around mental health. Guys, when we do not have control of our minds, we can barely control any other aspects of our lives. It's as simple as that. So these informations, they are power. Embrace them. Be that one to embrace whatever information you find anywhere. It can always make you better. Rather than question the source, rather than be negative about it, just get the information and feel empowered. You never know when they will come handy. So without wasting too much of our time, today I want us to talk about panic attack. That was the experience I had many years back, but I had no clue what it was. I didn't understand. So panic attack is an experience that is characterized by an intense and severe but sudden grip, sudden fear, sudden intense feeling of fear, unexpected. It will come over you, it will take over you. It can be so overwhelming. There are a few things we need to know about panic attack. panic attack is not life-threatening. Panic attack is not life-limiting. It can be challenging. At the time, you have a lot of things flying through your mind, but no one dies from panic attack. So panic attack becomes panic disorder when it happens more frequently, when it begins to affect the quality of your life, and when on its own it begins to contribute to other forms of anxiety. So panic disorder is the most severe form of anxiety. This is where people experience episodes of panic attack. We sometimes hear people use panic attack loosely. Oh, you've made me jump. Oh, my heart is racing. These are all okay, but in this context, we're talking about panic attack when it becomes a form of mental health problem. What do you want to expect? What are the signs and symptoms? What are the treatment options? These are some of the conversations we'll be having. And my aspiration with this video is that at the end, we would understand generally what panic disorder is, what are the signs, and what are the things to expect. Panic attack manifests in two different ways. You have psychological symptoms as well as the physical health symptoms. For the physical health symptoms, your heart will race, you will have palpitation, you will feel angina, which is pain on your chest, you will tremble, you sweat, you feel like you're choking, like you're going to have heart attack. You will feel like vomiting in some cases. Some people will feel like they are fainting, dizziness, and generally feeling unwell. On the other side of the psychological side of things, you will feel like you're going to die. The overwhelming feeling of fear will be so intense and sudden that people actually think they are going to die from the experience. You feel like there's something sitting on your chest. It's so intense, you cannot understand what's going on with your body. As well as that feeling of fear, the mind at this point is in a very, very low and dark place. So when these things happen, we are said to be having panic attack. This feeling of fear, sometimes unexplained. In other words, you can't predict when they happen. This can happen at home, it can happen when you're out in the shop, it can happen at the party, and to some people, it's almost like a dark cloud all over you. The panic disorder is common, but it's more common in women. It can be overwhelming, especially when it begins to impact on the quality of our lives. There are people who no longer live their normal lives because they have panic disorder as a diagnosis. They shy away from the public, they begin to isolate themselves at home, and this is actually one of the criteria for meeting that diagnostic threshold. That panic attack must be happening for a period of time. In terms of frequency now, not severity, in some cases when it happens, it goes on for a few minutes, it can last for up to an hour in some cases. The doctor would sit with you and check the frequency, how often you have these experiences before eventually you are diagnosed. But also, very importantly, you should be able to demonstrate by your experience how that feeling of panic attacks is beginning to affect your life. Social phobia, agoraphobia, where some people run away from certain environments because they feel those environments trigger that feeling of attack. So when that is established that what you have is panic disorder, you would now be supported, with how to help yourself and some of the therapies and treatment options that can be available for you. Now, something is very important when it comes to panic disorder, and this is why it is important that you speak to your doctor, speak to your psychiatrist, because panic disorder presents in similar ways like other life-threatening conditions like heart attack, like pulmonary diseases, cardiac arrest. These are quite similar. So panic disorder mimics those symptoms. So that makes it very important for you to see your doctor in order just to eliminate those more life-threatening conditions that I mentioned earlier. When you have panic attack, you will sweat, you will have angina, palpitation, you feel like vomiting. These are similar symptoms people that are having heart attack also experience. So for that reason, it's important that you see a doctor and be properly guided as far as that is concerned. It's treatable and people make full recovery every now and again. You will be told how to relax. You will be encouraged not to be ashamed. There is nothing to be ashamed of when you have mental health. I can never say this enough. You know, what causes panic attacks? Some of you will be thinking of. There are so many risk factors. In my own case, remember I shared the experience of loss. That was the trigger. For some people, it can be ongoing life stressors. Some people, it can be as a response to the environment or to what they are going through. We know that life sometimes can be stressful. It can also be an automatic response to certain fearful and threatening situations. The way the human brain works again, when we are confronted by challenging situations, threats to our lives or to our environment or our loved ones, the brain usually goes into either a fight mode or a flight mode. So when you are in that state of fight, especially, you have and experience those symptoms, quite similar to panic disorder. Panic disorder can be triggered by traumas we've had in the past. It can be triggered by current difficult experiences. Stress is a killer. You know, rather than bottle things up, please speak out. It can also be triggered by genetics. There are some research that found a connection between chemical imbalances in the brain and anxiety disorder as a whole. So, but whichever the case, whichever the trigger, speak to your doctor. There are lots and lots of interventions. There are lots of even things as little as changing the way we see things, which is what CBT does. That's cognitive behavioral therapy. It helps us see things differently in a more positive way. For example, just telling yourself, yes, I know I have these panic attacks every now and again, but it's not going to kill me. It's okay. I'm not the only one having panic attack, and it's only going to last for a few minutes, and I can actually make full recovery. Just having to process it that way would also help you. It would help you see it as less a problem than it is, rather than when you don't have the information, rather than when you sit back and you imagine, oh my God, I must be a terrible person. I must have done something wrong for nature or whatever God or whatever force to be visiting me with some troubling experience like this. So it's important we speak out. It's important we seek help. Do not keep it to yourself and avoid certain places. This is avoidance. This happens when people feel, you know what, I don't want to go to this environment. I don't want to meet these people because I don't know if I'm going to experience panic attack while with them. So they tend to self-isolate, and very importantly, that type of isolation leads to depression. So it's like a chain reaction. It's a win-win for you, for us, when we speak out. If you're not comfortable speaking to the friends around you, you can bypass them. You can speak to professionals. You can make it discreet if you don't want to share too much. But the bottom line is, get the help you need. Again, it is important to mention that sometimes our lifestyle can lead to problems like panic disorder. Some people have reported having panic attacks after they've had too much alcohol or abused drugs or used certain medications that are not prescribed. But again, in some cases, people have reacted to prescribed medication as a side effect. So whichever the cause, what matters is that we know, we understand, and we seek the help we need. If you can't remember any other thing from this video, just remember that panic disorder is normal. Even though the most severe form of anxiety is not going to kill you, you can get the help, you can make full recovery. There are lots and lots of intervention out there that can help you. Do not keep it to yourself. And the same goes to every form of mental health problem. When you're that person who goes through those challenges, please speak up. Please ask for help. Do not feel ashamed or embarrassed. There is nothing absolutely nothing wrong with having mental health problems. It is normal. The same way your leg can hurt is the same way your mind can hurt. It's the same way your mind can be clustered. It's the same way your head can be totally upside down. It's okay. It's normal. You're not mad. You're not demon possessed. But you need to ask for support. Thank you very much for your time. I hope this is helpful, and I see you in my next video. God bless.